Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look and see how we're able to integrate our assignment into Liferay's asset framework. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and close out all of my different tabs here. Again, always like to start neat, or at least as neat as possible when going through a new set of exercises. Let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to our gradebook service, and specifically we're going to go over to our service.xml. When we're dealing with assets, there is a status that goes alongside with the asset. And if we decide to integrate this asset within the workflow framework, then the status becomes even more important. So what we want to do is add the status field to our assignments. So to do that, right, we're back over here in service.xml, defining the attributes of our entity. In this case, the entity is the assignment. And we're over here. Okay, so if you want to copy the whole thing, feel free to do so. If you just want to copy that highlighted portion, that works as well. But to make my life easier, I'll go ahead and copy the whole thing. From here, we can highlight everything, remove it, and then replace it with the snippet that we've just copied. And once we scroll back up, we'll see a couple of fields here. So we'll see the status field and a number of other status related fields: status by user ID, username, and status date. So that takes care of the assignment. The assignment itself is now ready to be integrated into Liferay's asset framework. From the lecture, we discussed the process that goes through in order to integrate the assignment into the asset framework. So what we're going to want to do is make sure that there is an asset renderer associated with the assignments. In order to create that asset renderer, we're going to have an asset renderer factory. This is going to be the next steps, taking care of that asset renderer factory and then the asset renderer itself. So let's first off run service builder so that the assignment can take the new attributes that we've defined here with service.xml and update all of the relevant classes that are associated with it. Just like we saw with the permission resource, right? Again, we want to attach an asset resource, as we're calling it, to the assignment. So whenever we do something like add an assignment, delete an assignment, and update an assignment, we want that asset resource, as we're calling it, to go alongside of it. So when a new assignment is created, a new asset resource is created alongside of it. So let's go ahead and implement that. So you can feel free to use Control-Shift-T to bring up the assignment local service impl. Again, I've always liked to navigate to it, just in case I've ever had to navigate through the code, I'll know where it is. Okay, so we're here in our assignment local service impl. We're going to head over to our snippets and grab the implementation of our update asset method. So we're implementing a new method called update asset. I'll go ahead and copy it, head back over to our assignment local service impl and place it inside the class. So for me, I'll add it right before our add assignment, since we're going to be adding the update asset to the add assignment method. Go ahead and use Control-Shift-O to bring in your imports, and then we'll save along the way. Okay, from here, let's go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to be adding that update asset method right before that return statement for our assignment. So down here towards the bottom. So if you want to copy the snippet, feel free to do so, but it's going to be update asset, and then the two properties here, assignment and service context. So I just use Control spacebar in order to autocomplete, and then we'll save the file. We'll go ahead and do the same thing with the update assignment. So let's go ahead and scroll down, looking for the update assignment. Following the same pattern, we're going to be adding that update asset method right before the return call, using Control spacebar to get assignment, right? And then those two parameters that are needed for the method call, and then saving along the way. Okay, last one here, we want to be sure to delete the asset as well. So we're going to scroll down here in the delete assignment right before the return call, right? We're going to call a different method. We're going to call our assignment entity local service, right? Or then we're going to delete a specific entity. In this case, that entity is going to be an entry, and we're going to be passing two parameters. The first parameter is the specific entity, and then the class PK, so the primary key that goes along with it, right? And so for this, we're going to be referencing the assignment.class.getName. Here we go. And then the class PK is going to be the assignment's ID number, right? So we'll just pull that from the actual assignment object since that's a parameter here. So assignment.get, and then we want the primary key, which is the assignment ID, just to make this look a little bit cleaner. Boom, there we go. I'll follow the syntax that's here. We'll use, looks like 4 spaces or 1 tab. Okay, again, Control-Shift-O resolves any imports that are needed, and then we're going to rerun Service Builder. Once we do that, I'll go ahead and perform a Gradle refresh. That's something I forgot to do previously. So I'll go ahead and run the refresh and see if everything is taken care of. Looks like everything is okay once we run that Gradle refresh. So always want to do that just in case any errors like the one that we saw aren't really true errors. Okay, so we've added the fields that we need in order to integrate our assignment into the asset framework. We made sure that there is an asset entity or asset resource connected to our assignments whenever an assignment is created, edited, deleted, and so on. Next thing we need to do is implement the asset renderer and the asset renderer factory. So we're going to implement the factory first so that the factory will then, well, create the renderers for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to our gradebook web. So heading over to our gradebook web, we're going to add a couple of dependencies within the build.gradle. I'm going to head back over to our snippets here. Scrolling down a little bit, we'll grab the 2 dependencies for our build.gradle, and I'll go ahead and add them there. Again, whenever we add something to our build.gradle, I always like to do a Gradle refresh. Again, typically, sometimes it brings it in on its own. You'll see that it happened here, but just from my experience, I always like to be safe. So I'll perform the Gradle refresh. Even though we saw that it came in on its own after I saved, I always like to be conscientious there. All right, let's go ahead and implement the asset renderer factory. So here in source main Java, we'll head over to new, followed by class. Again, since we're utilizing snippets here, I'll go ahead and leave the package name alone, and we'll pull that package in once we add the snippet. So the name of the class is going to be assignment asset renderer factory. Once you have that typed out, go ahead and click finish, and then we'll head over to our snippets and then grab the code for the asset renderer factory. Not to say all the code is boilerplate, but you can look at some examples and you can extrapolate out some of the required methods and patterns needed in order to create an asset renderer factory. So highlighting the package up here at the top, and then we'll go ahead and move that snippet or the class into the package that it needs to be in. And might need to bring in using Control-Shift-O. Nope, it's okay. So the assignment asset renderer class is not created yet. So the asset renderer in this case cannot create something that doesn't exist. And so the next thing that we're going to be doing is creating or implementing the asset renderer. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. If you want to do the cheating way that I'm about to do, you can highlight the error like so, and then you can select create class like this. Okay. Interestingly enough, the package is exactly the one that we need. COM Liferay training, gradebook web, asset model. And then the name of the class is assignment asset renderer. So everything is good there. So just a nifty trick. It's helpful in training because of the snippets. But again, in real life, you're probably going to have to create that class on your own. So just saving a little bit of time there. Let's head back over to our snippets And again, we're going to implement the asset render assignment and assetter. So close in name, I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied there. That's okay. So forgive me there. Once we implement that snippet, everything is good to go. Again, a lot of this does kind of boil down to boilerplate. So take a look at some documentation and some existing asset renders to really hone down the pattern. Right. Last step we're going to do is we're going to implement a number of JSPs so that we have different views of our assignments. Right. So using something like the asset publisher, right? The asset publisher can use application display templates or widget display templates to kind of configure the way that our assets are displayed. So we want to implement some JSPs to be able to accommodate for those different types of views. So we're going to head over to our init.jsp first. We're going to take care of a couple of imports. So meta-inf resources. And we know that our imports are residing within the init.jsp. So I'll head back over to our snippets and we'll go ahead and pull those two snippets, or our two imports, I should say. Okay, so first set of imports, head back over, add it with the rest of our page imports. Okay, and we're going to create a folder that will contain our JSPs related to our assets. So we'll go ahead and right-click resources, heading over to new, followed by folder, and then the name of the folder will be asset. From here, we'll go ahead and click finish, and then let's go ahead and create those two files that we need. So heading over to new, followed by file after right-clicking the asset folder. First one will be abstract.jsp. We'll go ahead and click finish, and then copy. So copying the first snippet over. Again, if you want to get rid of those errors, you can use the ... to get the proper path, but the init.jsp will still be picked up regardless. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another JSP called fullcontent.jsp. Since I'm already here, I'll go ahead and copy the snippet and then create the file. So we'll go ahead and right-click asset, head over to new, followed by file, and then the name of the file will be full_content.jsp. From here, I'll go ahead and paste and then save. Okay, again, if you want to get rid of these errors, you can do the ... trick that we talked about so that it properly refers to the init.jsp. Again, it's not essential, it's still going to get picked up anyways. So it's been deployed. Let's go ahead and run a final test. Heading over to our instance of Liferay, I'll go ahead and refresh the page and sign in. Since permission checking is taking effect, right, in order to add an assignment, I need to first sign in. No, let's refresh, and let me re-add the application to the page. Let's see if that takes care of the issue here. Nope. Let me redeploy then. I'll go ahead and get rid of these. So redeploying my 3 applications. So Gradebook Service started, Gradebook Web started. Okay, and then Gradebook API, did it go? Let me check my Go shell. Yep, so that one went as well. Heading back over to my instance of Liferay, refresh the page, and there we go. Just a simple redeploy. So I'll go ahead and add an assignment. Right, you can call this whatever you want. Assignment number 707. Description. Right, here's a description. And then I'll go ahead and save the file. Right, so now that we see that our gradebook application is up and running, all I needed to do is just redeploy it, right? In order to get our assets integrated fully into the asset framework, we're also going to be needing to integrate our assignments into Liferay's search framework. So we're going to be taking care of that within the next exercise. So until then, I'll see you in the next video.